All right, you schematic sniffers, listen up. What I'm doing right now is here's all the pins that I salvaged off a bunch of projects. Now I got resistors back here, capacitors, more capacitors, electrolytics over here, transistors back here. Uh, I buy a lot of parts in bulk. I told you I bought a lot of parts at the electronic barn, and there's certain values that like a point oh 0.01, point 0.1, there's certain capacitors, there's certain resistors like a 1K, a 10K, a 47, a 4.7K. There's certain values that are real common. They're in most circuits. So you want to stock those values. And I also, these are bins that have those type of parts in there. And when I prototype on the solderless uh, proto boards. I think they're solderless here. I sometimes accidentally say wireless, but solderless. And this is, I can find usually the value I need in this. Now, I have a system, here's another one. I have a system set up that all my parts are categorized, they're in drawers. If they're bigger, they're in bins and categorized. And if I need a part, I can usually find a part within 20 seconds. And that includes walking to the other room. Sometimes longer, I got to walk back because I forgot my glasses. But I organize everything over and over and over because when you're building, you can spend too much time looking for things. Or you're not sure if you even have it. Your memory's not that good. So I know it has to be in a certain place. And if it's not there, I don't have it. But I just want to show you my organization and talk to you about how I organize stuff. And it's very frustrating when you're troubleshooting a circuit or prototyping it. But if you got to keep reordering parts and waiting 3-4 days or more, it's very frustrating. So I have every part that I need. And in some cases, you can put two resistors in series or in parallel. I know how to do that. I know how to put capacitors in series and in parallel. Basically, I know what part I can substitute in there until if I'm successful and it's what I want, I then order the part. I don't ahead of time, I don't order a part and wait to work on the circuit when the part comes in. I already know I can substitute, but that's not what this video is about. I want to tell you, for 15 years, I walked past this one house. And the guy doesn't mow the lawn. The guy doesn't, there's weeds growing out of the gutter system, and the bushes are all overgrown. And then once a year, you'll see a bunch of men come there and straighten the property out. So I asked somebody, he says, oh yeah, he says, the guy waits for the town to come and fine him, and then they put someone there to clean it all up, and then they bill him. And in my mind, I'm saying to myself, I want to meet this person at some point. I want to like get into their head. So let's see, that would be probably Sunday morning. No, wait, no, it wouldn't be. It would be Monday morning. And I'm walking along, and I see a guy at the mailbox across from that house. A lot of our neighborhoods have central mailboxes. The mailman doesn't deliver to each house. You have to go get your mail at this hub. And in my case, my mail my house is a duplex. I own half of it. And my mailbox is in front of the house, which is a lot better. So anyway, I see this guy. I start talking to him. I say, yeah, anything good? Now I always have an opening line. If you walk up to a stranger, you got to have some type of funny opening line. And I'll go, hey, get anything good? Just bills. I said, well, I said, could be something worse. So we start talking. And at some point, he says, I live right there. I said, oh, for 15 years, I wanted to meet the person that owns that house. I wanted to meet you. And I told him straight out, I said, do you procrastinate? He goes, yeah. I said, you understand that you procrastinate? Yes. I said, you don't like to mow the lawn or no. So the guy was really intelligent. He works in the school system. He has degrees. He knows all different words. He knows a lot of funny stories. Anyway, He's just really smart, but he procrastinates on certain things. Now, I have a problem with the homestead rebate. For some reason, I have it almost half done. Every year I procrastinate on that. And every year they extend it to the end of the year, so it makes me procrastinate even more. But I like to understand other people. It helps me understand what I'm doing and why I make my wacky decisions. You know, it's like I tell you, I understand the radio thing. I totally understand it. And I said to the guy, I said, you understand that you procrastinate and you know, and you sort of know why. And we went through his childhood. I was telling him some of the things that caused my problems. And then he was going through some of the things. And his dad just recently died. His mom is still alive. But he said, no, his father wasn't really that bad. You know, it wasn't, he just says that he just doesn't like to trim bushes and mow the lawn. I said, do you ever bring the tools out and then get there and then turn around and go back? And he goes, oh, yeah. I said, that's really good. I said, see, with me, when I procrastinate, when I finally do grab a hold of the tools, I go outside, I stick it out, cutting the bush. And the clock seems to go backwards. If you're watching, you watch. There's certain things in life you just don't want to do. And people that have bad procrastination have a miracle day. It's called tomorrow. And I hit a guy's video, and he was explaining to people rough like I do. You know, I tell people, you got to bring something to the table. You're fooling yourself. You got to learn the basics before you can. This guy had the same spiel, and he was nasty, and I'm watching it going, and he's got a lot of followers. But as I followed up on his videos, originally he said, you can find all the stuff. I've already told you it's free. Well, then he moves along. He's got sponsors. And then all of a sudden he has seminars you can come to. So he just went about it a little different way to catch people's attention. He told them straight out, if you have a problem with your life, but don't stop blaming other people. So I watched this. So that's one of the things I do. I walk around, and I can walk up to a stranger, and I look homeless. And they're always shocked that I don't ask for money, and I get into conversation with them. And it's usually an hour to 2 hours. And I finally cut it off because I know I'm a long talker. And then this guy said, he really didn't mind, you know, because he stays to himself, but he does like people. See, when a really smart person works at work, he doesn't want to hang around those people anymore. He's been around them enough where if he can meet someone that understands what he's talking about, that he has never hung out with before. See, all the stories he tells me, I've never heard before. All the things I tell him, he's never heard before. So that's what's really cool about when you go for a walk and you meet someone at your age, and a lot of them they're broken. The wife left them. They're going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and those people, I can't help them. What I can do is I can stand there and let them vent. But at some point, you're like, I'm learning nothing from this person. I don't think this person's ever going to turn it around. See, I learned now that when people tell me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, it doesn't happen. And I just watched a video where a guy came on and he said what he was going to do with this project. And I'm going to get to it next week. I'm going to try. What the hell was that video? You know, the whole video was based on he's saying next week, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to get to that. I'm going to try. So his magical day or his magical kingdom is next week, not tomorrow. But, you know, tomorrow is the magical thing. I'm going to start my diet. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to start spending less money. 1% of people can make change. Now, I had a friend one time, as I was making changes to my diet and everything, he says, you know, you're never going to change. People never change. But that's not true. 1% of people are able to make a change, and you do it slowly. What I did was, you know, I was getting heavy, and I realized I'll just eat less. I'll eat the same foods, and I just, you know, you have a habit of, my mother used to say, your eyes were bigger than your stomach. You grabbed a big piece of something, you start eating, you can't finish it. because your mind, you have this system in your body and your mind that you don't ever want to starve. So it causes you to overeat in some cases. If you don't exercise, it's really bad. In other words, every time you gain weight, you gain fat cells. And those fat cells want to be fed. And you're trying to lose weight. So what happens is the fat cells put chemicals in your bloodstream and they make you give up real quick. You make it like 3 days and they got you. The trick is to eat less. So you're not starving the fat cells, you're weaning them off. And they do die. After a while, every cell in your body gets replaced or it dies off. Whether it gets replaced, that's something else. Anyway, so if you stop eating as much as you're eating, you just cut back a little, over a period of time, the weight will come up. Well, other people say to you, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds within 2 weeks. It's going to come back on. And then when it comes back on, oh, I gained it all back and more. It's the same scenario, but they don't see the pattern. So what I did was I started eating less. And sometimes, I believe it or not, I'll open a candy bar, I'll take a little piece off, I fold it back up and put it away. I'm like, yeah, that was enough. When I was a kid, or a few years ago, when I opened that candy bar, I remember the first bite and then the last bite. And then at one point, I said to myself, where the hell's the candy bar? In other words, I eat the first 2 bites, I taste that. And then when you look at the bottom of the bag or the bar, there's the last piece. So in between, you didn't even taste it. It's just a reflex action. And that's what I learned about when you overeat and you've gained weight. And the trick is you got to have some kind of exercise. I tell you, I go for long walks. I don't have a car. So anytime I go to the store, I have to carry stuff back. And it's heavy. It was heavy today. I did 20 pounds of groceries. And it's a mile away. My Walmart's a mile away. Walk over there and walk back with 20 pounds of groceries. I do that once a week. And then I do usually the dollar store every other day now. I'm cutting back on that. See, I'm putting the extra money into maybe the next project that's coming. I'm saving up for it. But I just wanted to show you that I do recycle my parts. And I want to tell you about meeting other people and getting in their head. You know, I don't do anything mean to them, but I like to understand the other person's thought process. And of course, there are people that are just NPCs. Anyway, there are people that are just static. They spend money. They have a car. They drive around. But when you talk to them, you never learn anything from them. They won't even tell you, hey, the store up the block got a sale. Or, that empty lot over there? They're going to build a so-and-so store there. They don't have anything new to tell you. And then, so as my hobby, when I go walking, I'll bump into someone. And a lot of times they'll tell me the history of the area. So I learn something from them. There's some people that they're just static. They're just a basic person. And they do buy things. They eat, they shit. And but they're never going to give you a really good saying. Like my one friend said to me, it seemed like a good idea at the time. That's really good. That sums up the fact when you click on the eBay button for another radio. Now, I was doing that, and I got down to I didn't want any more radios. And then I saw that Hellcrafters, and I'm reading about it. I'm like, that's a really different looking radio. And then the damn thing turns out to probably be the best working radio I have that's a tube. Now I'm also thinking about the Collins 51J. I'm like, it can't be that bad on AM. I did some more tests on it, and after I get my parts all sorted, I'm bringing that out on the bench, and I'm going to follow the signal in from the antenna. I'm going to build a quick circuit that puts out like 5 microvolts. And I know what I'm going to use. One of them oscillator modules, some resistors, a metal case, and then I'll hook it to the antenna, and I'll put a signal in, and I'll follow, and I'll see where the hell is it going to? What the hell is happening to the signal that comes through the air? First of all, they cut the voltage back on that tube when you switch to band 1. Band 1 is is triple conversion and it can't get stations. That's unbelievable. Now band 2 is single conversion and it does better than band 1. It's boggling my mind. Something's wrong, and it could be just a value or stuff. And there was a whole bunch of messages about it, and that conference seems to have disappeared. I couldn't find that again. But anyway, that's what's in my mind now. I'm like, all right, I got a radio that cost me $450, and I recapped it. I redid all the contacts and all the switches, and the thing has trouble getting weaker AM stations. I don't mean DX stations. I mean the weaker ones. It gets like 6 stations on the AM broadcast band. It gets exactly what a cheap transistor radio would get here. So that's what I'm working on next. Right now, I'm going through these parts, and I sort everything out. They all have bins. My bins have like 0.01 to 0.05, and I put them away. And when I need a capacitor, I just bring the bin over, or several bins over, pull the capacitors out, get my proto board out. And these things, these are vector pins. I have brand new ones of these things. Am I in the frame here? A guy had these up on eBay for $1 each at one point. I'm like, man, if he gets anybody, or they click on it, don't realize he wanted $1 each for them. But I like using those pins because I'll put the pins in the board. I'll bring the resistor over and tie it to the 2 pins, and that's the tie point that's on the schematic. So it's very easy to troubleshoot the circuit because you lay it out just like the diagram. Now, this guy Whalen in Red said, you can't lay out electronic circuits like the schematic. No, but you can make the schematic drawn like the layout is. You know, yeah, sometimes the schematic is different than the actual physical layout, but you can lay out a schematic and the tie points that are the same as the tie points on the radio, and that's a good radio. So obviously, he never made the correlation that a better radio, they do put the tie points physically and on the schematic, and it makes life a lot easier to fix. Now, I told you that Hellcrafters, that thing was just made as cheap as possible. But if you operate it and just look at the outside of it, which looks really good, and the silky smooth or creamy smooth dial, it's amazing. And then the sound that comes out of that thing, the ability to turn the IF more narrow, because it's only a single conversion radio. It's not a dual. But I just wanted to show you some of the stuff I'm working on. I stay busy. You know, I'm still worn out for the fact that it's been hot. Today's the 7th day of really hot heat. And, you know, I had the one guy screaming at me. He owns a bunch of housing in the area here. He doesn't believe in global warming. We're not getting normal temperature. And I tell people that are retired, I said, you can have all the money, your wife could still be alive, your children could be doing okay, and you can't go do anything because it's too damn hot. I don't care how much money you got. You know, all those commercials say, you won't have this. What about, you have 7 days in a row, it's so hot you can't go outside. That's my question. You know, well, if you don't plan for your future, you won't have enough money. Well, what do you need money for? If you can't go outside and do anything, yeah, I know. You can go do something in the mall, with that nobody goes to anymore. Years ago, you'd say to someone, you go walking at the mall. We used to have to do mall walking. And I did that for a short period of time when I got here. And it's boring just to walk through a store. They want you to do that because they figure you'll see something you might buy. But basically, what's killing me with my hobbies right now is I don't know what I want to work on next. I know I want to get that Collins radio to pick up better. There's got to be something I can do to that. Whether when a tube cuts back to 90 volts or whatever, maybe once I have that generator, I can get it to do at 5 millivolts in through the antenna and wire it up so it can't shut the voltage back, and see if I can get some more stations. You know, it's a $450 radio, and it's supposed to be so great. And I haven't found one message from anybody that's still left up there that said the AM broadcast band was really bad on it. Those messages seem to, that conference is gone. But there was someone, and then the guy shooting from the hip making up, well, it's really designed to use a whip antenna. And it's amazing what people make up and throw out there for you to read. But yeah, all these parts, these are all .01s. All right, look at them all. Now I'll keep the ones with the longer leads, and I'll put them back in the bag. I have a giant bag of these things. I went on eBay one time, and the guy had 5,000 of these, or 1,000. It's a big bag for $5 plus shipping. I could, yeah, how could you? And they're 600 volt, and they're not that big. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, sign me up. Clicked on the button, got them, and they're square. They sit down on the perf board really nice. Oh, that's why there's so many here. I don't even bother. I don't even bother to. I don't even bother to worry about you putting it in a circuit and then cutting it and taking it back out. That's why some of them have short leads. I put it in a circuit, and I'm like, nah, that value's no good. I just cut it out. I don't unsolder it. I just cut it. So when I sort stuff, after I get these all sorted for value, then I keep the ones with the longest leads, and they'll go back in the original bag. I think that's it. All right, that's really it.